LEGO Space is back in 2025 with the new Boeing NASA Shuttle Carrier Aircraft for $230. And thanks to LEGO for sending this set over for review, we can now take a closer look at some of these details. Let's grade the set out of 100 and see if it's worth picking up. I remember flying on the Boeing 747 as a young kid and just being amazed at how big these planes truly are. The LEGO recreation of this iconic shuttle carrier aircraft will come in with 2,417 total pieces. It's going to retail for $230 US, and then it's going to have one sticker sheet and two manuals. The first manual is going to be used for building the NASA Space Shuttle Orbiter Enterprise, and then manual 2 will have you building the Boeing 747. Building the shuttle first, it's a good build. You'll build the base and the wings and then start building up the body of the shuttle. There's quite a few stickers spread throughout with no prints on the shuttle itself. I thought the designers did do a pretty good job on capturing the shape of the nose of the shuttle specifically. You have a tinted windscreen, and then underneath you have the landing gear, which is fixed in place and does not recess into the body of the shuttle. And then on the back you have the engines. The cool thing on the back of the shuttle is that the engines can be removed like so, as well as the landing gear, and then all can be placed into the main body of the shuttle. The main body does have panels that open and close that allow for easy access. Now, the reason that you would remove the engines is LEGO did include this attachment that can be put in place of the engines, which is basically meant to mimic the cover that was created for the shuttle during transportation in order to help with the aerodynamics. Moving on to the Boeing 747, which was definitely my favorite part for sure. The designers did an amazing job of capturing the curves and the roundness of the plane using clip and bar connections. The build on the plane was different in some ways and definitely interesting because they used these temporary pieces colored in orange in just several areas as simple stabilizers for the build. The idea here was basically to help make the building experience easier and more enjoyable, and then simply you remove those orange pieces once you're complete with that section, which I thought was a cool addition. There were a few stickers here on the Boeing 747, but we got a lot of really cool printed pieces on the plane. The side pieces showing the windows of the 747 were all printed, as well as a lot of printing up here at the front on the nose of the Boeing, as well as the cockpit panel. There are 3 mounting struts on the top of the plane, which will be basically used to carry the shuttle. As far as the wings, I was really impressed with the wings of the plane. Not so much the build themselves, but more the way they're attached to the plane to kind of give them this natural curve upward, just like the actual plane, which is amazing. There are 2 smaller Pratt & Whitney engines on each wing, which are a little bit flimsy and kept popping off, but do look really good. On the bottom is the landing gear, and probably one of my favorite parts of the plane. There are 5 landing gears on the bottom of the plane that can all be lowered and raised simultaneously with the internal Technic mechanism that runs through the entire plane. There is also a new element here that has the ability to hold 4 airplane tires on the one truck, which is cool to see. The rear of the plane has the large tail fin with the sticker NASA logo, and then the horizontal stabilizer wings. There are a couple additional vertical stabilizers added to the 747 in order to assist with carrying the shuttle that the regular 747 aircraft did not have, and these can swivel slightly. The plane overall is very sturdy and can be picked up and moved around without too much of a problem. The last part to the build is the base with the 2 plaques, one for the shuttle and then the other for the Boeing. The base is semi-sturdy, and I did have a few issues with it kind of moving the plane around. If you don't move it, it can carry the weight of the plane and the shuttle with no problem, but it does sit at a nice position and makes for a really nice look on the actual display of the plane. So this was a very fun build. I wouldn't say it was the most incredible build I've ever had, but there's a lot of white in the build. You would think that would make it kind of old, but they did break it up really nicely, so it never really got old for me. Maybe as opposed to just the wings. The first wing was okay, but once you get into building the second wing, I guess that maybe did get a little bit old. But overall, I enjoyed the build. I thought it was really cool, and I thought they did a really good job, especially on the Boeing 747. So I'm going to put the build experience on this one at 30 out of 40. The display on this model is impressive. If you're a fan of space or aviation in general, you're going to love the look of this set. It's a large model sitting at 63 centimeters or 25 inches long, and then 10.5 or 27 centimeters high. I normally don't get into the width, but you kind of have to on this one. The width is also really wide at 53.5 or 21 inches. And that is probably the only thing that I would say is a slight problem with this set. It's a very tough model to display in that it's very long, but also very wide. If you have a backing to your shelving unit or your shelf just sits up against a wall, you're going to need a lot of distance from the wall or depth to the shelf for it to actually fit. The height definitely isn't as much of a problem, but the width is definitely going to make it more challenging to find a good spot for display for some. Regardless though, as a model, I think they nailed the look and curves of the 747 and the Space Shuttle, and I think it looks really great. Play function wise, you only have the internal Technic mechanisms for the landing gear in the 747, but the fact that all the wheels work simultaneously is amazing, and I am glad that the designers decided to add that extra function to the plane versus just a solid tube for the plane body and then stationary wheels. Make sure before you purchase it that you know how you're going to display this model, because it is a tougher model to display for sure, just very wide and just very awkward in order to position on a shelf. But outside of that, I think it looks great in my opinion, and I also think it has some really cool functionality with the landing gear. So I'm going to put the display and play on this one at 14 out of 20. So the price for the set is $230, which is going to have the price per piece fall just under the 10-cent price per piece mark. That price per piece does fall in line with the earlier released Concorde, but it is quite a bit more than the recent Artemis Space Launch System. The Artemis Space Launch System comes in at almost the same price as the Shuttle Carrier Aircraft, but with 3,601 pieces, so quite a bit more. There are no minifigures included with this set, so obviously no value there, and to be frank, I don't really think they needed any minifigures for this set. So I would say it's an okay price point on the set. I don't think it's really bad per se, but I don't think it's really great either. I would have liked to have seen it maybe just a little bit lower. I would say the price point on this set would have been perfect, more like the $179 to $199 price point, just getting it under that $200. I'm not really too happy that they eclipsed the $200 with this set. $230 is kind of an odd number, but I don't think it's a bad value. If you don't need it day one and you can wait just a little bit, I would say maybe wait, find a discount and get it below that 200 mark. It is what it is though, and I'm gonna put the overall value grade at 15 out of 20. So I dropped the poll on the community YouTube page to get your thoughts on the set, and this is how you all voted. I'm sure some more votes are going to come in, but with over 500 votes as of this recording, you all gave this set a pretty solid pass with over 73% voting pass. Judging by some of the comments, it appears that most of you are maybe just not overly happy with the look of the model, specifically the Boeing 747. I thought it looked really good. I thought they did a great job of capturing the look and shape of the Boeing 747, but apparently people are mostly thinking they're going to pass on this set. So with that said, on the community grade, you all gave it a 6 out of 20. Here's all the final grades on the Shuttle Carrier Aircraft. That is going to put the final grade on the set at 65 out of 100, which is going to drop this set into the maybe category compared to other sets that were reviewed so far this year. Thanks for watching as always, and here's a couple other reviews for you to check out.